Well, hey there, my farmer friends. It is Corinna from mydigitalfarmer.com. I'm also the host of this particular private Facebook group where we're originally posting this content. If you're watching us for the first time on YouTube, I want to say welcome, and please check us out and look for our Facebook group, which you can find at facebook.com/groups/CSA marketing. We'd love to have you join us. Today I have a very special guest with me. This is JessLynn. She is a really good friend of mine, and she is also in my CSA, and she's also a professional wedding photographer. And I discovered that, did we meet last year?
I think it was the year before.
The year before.
Yeah.
And so she has been taking photographs for me for my CSA and my marketing, and I thought it would be really awesome to have her over for an interview, and we're going to talk a little bit about how photographers, professional photographers, might be able to help you with your marketing for your farm. And so the reason I thought of this is because Jess is actually going to be coming out to the farm this week and maybe in a couple weeks again to take professional photographs for me. And I thought, you know what, let's talk about why someone might want to do that and best practices for hiring a photographer. How do you find a good one? How do you coach the right shot so that you get what you want? So we're going to kind of have this be interview conversation style. I know you're a little bit nervous. It's okay. So if you have any questions, go ahead and shoot them at us, and I will be checking my iPad here as we go through, and we'll see if we can answer some of them. We're really glad you're here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
So make sure you just project your
Yes.
voice.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I guess the first question that I want to ask is, how do you, like, if I were I am a farmer, for my farmer friends, if they're going to go out and look for a professional photographer, what are the things they should be looking for? And should they even hire a professional photographer? Like, when do you know that you might want to?
Yeah, I think it really depends. Are you wanting pictures for a website? Are you wanting pictures for marketing, for printing material? It really depends on what you're looking for. So, if you're going to go out and you're going to find a photographer, I would really recommend, obviously, it seems a very obvious thing, but look at their photos. Make sure you like their photos. Make sure you like their style. There's a lot of different types of photographers. There's natural light. There's people who do studio work. There's food photographers. There's wedding photographers. So really, I think it's finding what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found you just because you approached me,
right,
and said, "Hey, I want to be in your CSA." Then I found out she's a photographer, and I'm like, "Oh!" And we kind of worked out a bartering arrangement.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, you worked for me for free. You were like, "Why don't I come out? I'll do a one whole day free, so you can see what I like. If you like what I do."
Yeah.
I think you were highly motivated to try and work that out. I don't know if every photographer.
I loved it. I found out about the farm, and I really just wanted to be a part of what goes on here.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a unique situation, but it was great because you got to see what I could produce before you committed further.
Right.
So.
I loved that. I have actually used another photographer before Jess, and she was also very good. The pictures were extraordinary, high quality. But after working with Jess, I feel like this is a better relationship, and that's also partly why I wanted to talk today, because I think I learned some things along the way for how to make sure you get the shots that you want.
Right.
And I think our process was just so much better before you even showed up to take pictures.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit here first. So what are some things that my farmers could do? Let's say they find a photographer they like. They've gone to their websites, they've looked around, they like a certain style. Now they contact them, they say, I think I'd like to try having you out here. What are some things they can do to prep before the photo shoot even starts? So let's talk about some of the things that we did to begin with.
Yeah, so just I think over communicating really what you're looking for, if there's a type of photo that you want or what you're using your photos for is really important, and just making sure that you and whoever you hire is really on the same level. That's really important, because if what you're giving and you're getting feedback that isn't kind of the same of what you're wanting, you're going to end up wasting time on both ends. So I think really just overly communicating, okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is exactly how I want it, or even pulling up websites or Googling pictures and saying, okay, here's some pictures, I want to replicate something that's very similar to this, is it possible to do something like that? I think that's a great way to do that as well.
Yeah, we actually sat down in the backyard, and I remember she asked me some questions like, well, tell me what you're trying to accomplish with your new website. What is Shared Legacy Farms brand all about? I mean, you were asking me some deep questions.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. I feel like I was getting interviewed, but it was really helpful because I thought she's trying to understand me as a customer. She's trying to figure out who I am, what I stand for, because she's going to look for that. She's going to try to find a shot that encapsulates the essence of our farm and what we want to do. So that was a really fantastic conversation to just talk about the philosophy of our farm, what our mission is, what I'm passionate about. And I feel like you kind of look for that when you're going for the shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my previous photographer, we never had that conversation, and so that was really helpful.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think my background as a wedding photographer, I have to kind of get to know my couples first. So, even you getting to know your photographer, that's something huge. I think that's helpful.
Yeah. So maybe if you meet with your photographer, you can kind of establish that as something you would like in the package. Like, hey, I don't want you to just show up and take a photo, but can we meet for 30 minutes as part of this? Even if you pay a little bit extra for that, let's have a powwow where we can talk and get to know one another. And so you can see my place, you can scan it out, you can talk to me, figure out what I'm all about.
And I think most, if you were to hire a professional photographer, I think most would probably lead down that route anyway. They would want to know about you. They would want to know what you want photos of. So most of the time that should happen.
Yeah.
So.
Since you're a wedding photographer, I know that you usually have like a checklist of shots, like mom with the bride, mom with the dad, or right?
Oh yeah.
So I would also say that something like that has been really helpful for us. Like I come to you before we even schedule a photo shoot, and I say, hey, I am missing these 3 shots in my archives, and I really need this. So I know that if in the next few weeks, one of the pictures I'm missing is a great full share size box picture. So I'm like, I need you to find that. And like, I wanted to take a good picture of me. I don't have a good picture of me anymore because I'm always the one taking the pictures. So I'm like, I want you to find a really awesome shot of me as the farmer's wife, and so we can use that in some capacity and so forth. So if you can create a checklist of shots in advance, I think that really helps too.
Absolutely. You can't be too specific. Honestly, you can't.
Yeah.
So.
And what precipitated our first interaction last year was I knew I was going to be redesigning my website. You can go see that website now, sharedlegacyfarms.com, see kind of how it's turned out. It's still morphed, but I'm really proud of what it looks like. I knew that I wanted some really professional looking shots, and so I was going to have to spend some money to get that. And the picture that's front and center is actually, it's my favorite picture you've ever done, with the exception of your son eating his vegetables on our Facebook page for Shared Legacy Farms. The business page is also her shot. It's her son eating the vegetables on a table. Those are my 2 favorite pictures ever.
I love that.
But my purpose was to try and rebuild this website. And so when we sat down and talked through our strategy, I had in mind, like, I need the website to accomplish these things. I need it to establish the pain point and the problem of my customer. I need it to cast vision for my customer of what their life will be like after they join my program, right? And so just helping her understand, like, I need a picture of smiley, happy people enjoying my product. Like, I still don't have that. So that's another thing I know that you're working on right now, so we can get that on my homepage. So do you guys see what I'm talking about? Like, if you know what you want your website to accomplish, the kinds of images, that really helps.
Yes.
Because images are copy. Like, I know we talk about copywriting like, oh, it's the words, but your pictures sell almost more.
It's crazy. They're so powerful. So powerful.
Yeah. So you're always looking for that emotion that's behind the shot. Let's talk a little bit about like text overlay. Do you remember me?
Yes, negative space.
Tell them about that story.
Yes. So Corinna approaches me and she's wanting, you know, okay, I want this shot, but I want to be able to use it in web design or marketing, and I want to have, you know, vegetables on the side or a knife or spices or, you know, and I think you even used a couple examples of showing, okay, this is something that I'm looking to do. Can we replicate this in similar ways and use my vegetables and put your spin on it? But even like that, communicating, you know, I want an empty space where I can give it to a graphic designer, or maybe you do it yourself and you put words and then it's used as something that you print out or you put on your website. Something like that is helpful.
So think about that. So if you know you have a printed material, a flyer you want to make, or in my case it was the homepage picture, and I knew I was going to put my tagline right over the center, or I might have put it over on the right. I wasn't sure yet, so I was like, I need some shots that have negative space where I can put words, right? So it's not on top of the farmer's face or whatever. And so really thinking through that, the concept of the shot, I think that helps too. All right, so what is the anatomy of a great shot? So if you're going to take a picture, what are the things that you're looking for?
So I would say, in my opinion, it's composed of three major things, and that's lighting, composition, and moment. And obviously, if you're taking pictures, of, you know, a stationary object that's not alive, like vegetables, you're obviously not going to look for a moment. But two big things that are obviously very important are going to be the lighting of the photo and the composition. Mm-hmm. So in composition just means there's actually a lot to composition. You can Google it if you don't know photo composition, but it's subject, it's symmetry, it's depth, it's a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
So.
I know I heard a tip once just from a podcast about trying to place the thing of interest in a certain area in the shot because your eye is drawn naturally. Is that kind of composition?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Lines can lead to a focal point.
Right.
You could even almost imagine if you take a picture and there's grades in your photo, and if your subject's over here, you could do rule of thirds. There's composition there's a lot about it. You could do a whole video just on that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. What is moment?
Moment. So,
like if you're out catching people doing harvesting or customers picking up, like what do you mean by moment?
Moment for me, I'm a lifestyle photographer, so I rarely pose people. And the same would apply even when I do photos for you. It's capturing a genuine moment that isn't posed, if that makes sense. It's kind of getting the real life thing that's happening as it happens, and just it's getting that moment. So that's kind of important too. You know, if you're not just wanting photographs of vegetables or your product, if you're wanting photos with people that are involved, that are doing something, then I would say it's really important to find a photographer that may specifically be a lifestyle photographer.
Okay.
So that's important.
Yeah. I'm glad you are one. I was just thinking that. Yes, I want moment captured. Please. So are there certain mistakes, like when you look at what other businesses do on their Facebook page, for instance, or, you know, what are common mistakes that you see businesses making in their marketing photography?
I would say a lot of the times it's people wanting a higher quality photo without actually hiring a professional to do it. You know, if you're wanting a website or if you're wanting marketing material that's really top end high quality, you're very unlikely going to get that without at least hiring a professional photographer, right? Because we have the cameras, we have the editing programs, we have the wisdom and knowledge and know-how to capture those moments. So I would say a lot of the times it's just people trying to get away with just iPhone shots, which there's nothing wrong with.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting a certain level of photos, you usually need a photographer to do that.
Yeah. So it really just depends on what the end purpose is.
Right.
And I would guess that probably for 90% of the shots for you guys as farmers, you probably don't need a professional photographer. But if you are going to be redesigning your website, spend a little money to get a really great shot for your homepage, you know, front and center.
Right.
I just feel like for your primary real estate for your business, you should probably invest in that. Now, I'm guessing like $300, $400, $500. Where are you thinking is like?
So I think where you are geographically is obviously going to be, you know, if you're in upstate New York, you're probably going to pay a little bit more than you would if you were in Iowa or something like that. So, you know, I couldn't say that there's a general price that you would pay, but you're probably going to spend more money than you might think. Photography can be expensive just because it's not just someone showing up with a fancy camera and taking pictures, but it's also then once I go home, now I'm uploading them on a program, right? And I'm spending 3, 4, 5 times the amount of time that I shot photos editing those photos. Yeah. And that's where all the time and money and investment goes. And when you're taking time to find a photographer, it's important to ask them questions like, do you edit your photos? How are you going to deliver your photos? You know, different things like that. What are the size of your photos? Stuff. I mean, you can't ask too much, you know.
Yeah,
so.
That is a really good point, because are they going to give it to you on a CD, you know,
Right.
or a jump drive, or are you going to put it on some kind of I know you put it on like a platform.
A gallery, yeah.
Yeah, where
gallery.
I can go with a password and access it whenever.
Which is nice, because you can get any size you want, really.
Right.
You can edit that. So.
Right, I do, I love that. You just mentioned editing, and I just want to comment that with my first photographer, she also edited the photos, but that was probably like 5 years ago, and those pictures are huge files, and I don't know if there was 5 years ago a way to make them smaller, and she just didn't do it. But there are a lot of those shots with today's software and, you know, the way the internet is now, that I cannot upload those pictures into different apps, because they say, you know, size limit is this, your picture exceeds the size limit. So I just want you to be aware that that may be an issue. Like, you just need to have a chat with your photographer. I don't know if that is so much, maybe photographers are aware of that now.
It's really easy to fix. You just got to make sure that if you hire a photographer saying, hey, if for some reason myself or my web designer or whoever might need to adjust the size, is that possible? And I can't see why it would be a problem. It's very simple for us to do.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so if a person is just getting started with marketing their farm or starting a CSA, and they want to put some pictures up either on their Facebook page or as a flyer or on their website, can you think of some kind of archetypal shots that you think should be a part of the portfolio? Like, if you were to show up at a farm and they didn't give you a checklist, and you're like, okay, well, this is what I'm probably going to look for.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it would really, if it's a farmer that's selling vegetables, right, I would probably want the produce, right? I would want shots of the vegetable. I would maybe, you know, kind of ask questions as I went along. Is there a specific spot that you want? Is there a background? Do you have signs? Do you have a logo somewhere that I can include in this shot? Stuff like that. So I think the big thing I would ask, or at least try to navigate, would be, what's this photo? How do you want it, and what are you using it for? And that's helpful, because then I can kind of gauge what I need, and then it goes into, you know, the lighting, the composition, the moment, and all those things kind of tie into it.
I know when we met with you, like, we were thinking about what our signature products are, right? Like, I'm not so interested in whether you take a picture of eggplant. That's not a huge hit, right? Or jalapenos, but people love our carrots, people love our garlic. And I was thinking of colors, like, what are the things that would just pop on the screen, as opposed to, like, a potato, not always quite as interesting, I guess, if you got the right light, or onions, Although those,
I know, I was just thinking of
that one Spanish, is it Spanish? No, Cipollini onions. Those
that
were
was a good
gorgeous.
Shot.
Oh my gosh, that is. I use that on a lot of my stuff.
That's just a picture of the top of it, and the whole picture is just onions, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
it's a cool
yeah. I also really feel like, having gone through this marketing process and having gone to Don Miller's messaging story brand workshop, I feel like the shot that I was missing for the first 8 years of my life, that I never focused on, was my customers using my product.
Yeah.
And now that I've taken that workshop, I feel like I need more of that. So I just want to encourage you guys to really think about that. If you're going to hire a photographer, maybe you want to say, and I have to Jess, I'm like, Jess, I need you to go to one of my customers' houses and take pictures of them using the food. So chopping it, I want the box in the shot, I want them laughing while they're...
Moments.
Yeah, those moments. Or around the table, you know, kids slurping the carrot soup, or... Because what I want is for the customer to come to my website and, you know, be looking through, and they see a picture of a customer using it, and they see themselves in the shot. They see their family in the shot. They're like, that could be me. And so if all I have are pictures of me as the farmer on there, although they want to get to know the farmer, I'm sure they wouldn't mind seeing one picture of the farmer. They want to connect with us. But if it's all about me, that doesn't, we have to remember that we're not the hero, right? They are the hero in the story, and we're the guide. So if we, you know, put more pictures of them in the story, I think that helps. So I would really encourage you guys too to if you don't have those in your arsenal yet, maybe it's worth hiring someone, or coming to the CSA pickup site or to the farmer's market stand, taking photographs, getting permission from those people. Hey, can I use this shot potentially? I just took a picture of you, and so forth. So that was because I used to do a lot of like landscape pictures of the farm, you know, aerial views and picture of our sign, and although you need to have those in your database, I feel like the customer, smiley, happy people using your product is like a huge deal.
Absolutely. In any marketing aspect, being able to relate to your customer, I think that's huge.
Yeah. All right, so if a person can't invest in a photographer, they don't want to dish out the money, they're not in that place yet, so what are some tips that you can give them just with their iPhone to be taking better pictures for their social media and so forth?
Absolutely. A big thing is not photographing in direct sunlight. So if it's a bright sunny day, you're probably not going to want to go outside and place something directly under direct sunlight and take a photograph of it. Even if it's people, it's unflattering on people, and it's unflattering on vegetables or anything really. You usually want to find a shaded area. There are, you know, circumstances where direct sunlight is okay if it's very, very early in the morning or it's late in the afternoon and it's sunset. They call that golden hour. Those are the only exceptions, but then you're kind of there's a lot of technicalities. So really, even if you're inside a house like where we are now, we have a big bright window behind us, being able to be next to a natural light source that's not artificial, right? It's not the lights above us, but it's the window, and taking a shot of something like that with natural light is really going to produce those quality of photos that you see in something like a Blue Apron magazine or their website or something like that. Yeah. So that's my biggest tip.
Yeah. I had another friend who was a photographer who gave me some advice once. She said, play around with angles. So she's like, get down on the ground and do a shot, you know, this way, or get over it and do a bird's eye shot. And I do that a lot now just because of that one tip. So I feel like that's another, don't just do the standard in front of you, click, click, so that we're eye level, but you know, the shot becomes interesting when you play around with
different depths, different angles, absolutely. Even getting like eye to eye with something instead of taking a picture kind of at an angle focusing down, you know, come down to where you're almost level with it and get photos that, and you know, if you're doing it yourself, the good news is you can spend time doing it and you can really kind of play around and figure out what you like. So,
okay, I wrote this question down because even if you don't answer it the way I want you to, I'll end up answering it because of my husband. So we hired a photographer. They came out. I don't remember if he did this with you, but how can a farmer be prepared to, how should they dress for photo day?
Well, see, I think this is subjective, because I would say I want you to be you that you would normally be if you were out in the field, you know? If you said, no, Jess, we're trying to reach a certain market of people, or we're really trying to portray this photo, then that might change. Okay. But if you're really wanting to capture kind of a genuine, everyday life of this is what really happens, I would say just dress how you normally would. But again, that goes back to my style, right? Lifestyle photography. I capture those moments that aren't planned for, the genuine things, so it's not, you know, but again, if you had a very specific type of photo that you wanted, I might change that, you know? So.
I don't know about you farmers, as I married into the farm life, right? But I have just discovered that my husband wears a lot of really bright neon fluorescent t-shirts. And I just feel like, man, I can't use that shot on my website. It's just so distracting. Or like he has a shirt for Tina's, which is like easy in, easy out. And I'm like, oh, this is a drive-in, like a drive-through, you know, where you just pick up beer or whatever. And I'm like, that's just not the phrase that I want. So just be aware if you're you know, going to pose.
That's a good point.
Just you know, wear your t-shirt, but maybe don't wear the pink one.
Right, or fluorescent yellow. Yeah, that might not be a good color. Stay away from prints. Solid colors are usually, they photograph better. Neutrals are usually flattering. Navies, tans, whites. Yeah. Those are always good choices.
I just have to laugh.
Yeah.
So, one other point that I think we did really well, you touched on it briefly earlier, but when we met, and as we were kind of I was trying to coach the right shot, you might have even have recommended this to me. You were like, go look around on the website go to Pinterest, go wherever, and find me a shot that you like. Show me the elements, give me examples of things that are that resonate with you just for style.
Right.
My website designer did this too, actually. because they were just trying to get inside my head. But I thought that was really helpful. So I went to Blue Apron, for instance, because I was trying to copy, some of their sales techniques. And I was just looking at, their website, at Plated.com, at HelloFresh. I'm like, well, how are they trying to reach their customer? So this is market research. I really think you should do that if you've never thought of that. And just go and look at the photographs there, because that's going to give you some ideas. And I was like, Jess, this is where I got that idea. I'm like, I saw this picture of a lady chopping the HelloFresh box with the box right next to her, and she's got her head up like she's laughing. I'm like, I want that kind of a shot. And so she's like, got it. And you can show an actual example, a template, and then she knows how to stage the shot, how to find the right kitchen that would sort of match that.
Right.
And so that was really helpful. You haven't produced that content for me yet, but I know that you will, because I've been really specific about this is the story that I need this picture to talk, to say, to communicate. And so you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think, and that's a huge, if you get anything from this, the biggest point is being able to over-communicate exactly what you want to your photographer, and making sure that they can relay it then back to you. Because if they relay it back to you and you're not on the same page or the same level, you might not get the same result that you're hoping for.
Yeah.
And then you waste a lot of time and money.
Yeah.
So.
When you send me the shots after you've edited them and you let me know that the link is there, I don't always look at them right away because my life's crazy, but I know that you're waiting for feedback. You're like,
oh yeah,
what did she think? What did she think? So keep that in mind too. Like, your photographer wants to hear back from you, right? Like, you want to know that I met her goals.
Right.
I did what she wanted me to do. And even if you're just going to hire this person for one time, I still think that there should be a feedback loop where you can say, hey, I loved this shot. Because, in the case of Jess, she's going to keep working for me, but as I continue to say, I like this and this and this and this, she's getting an idea of my pattern, of like what I really like. And so she's going to start to give me more of those elements. So the more detailed your feedback can be, don't be afraid to say, okay, I know what you were trying to do here, but the reason I didn't choose this one is because, there was a weird thing sticking out in the corner. So, little things like that can go a long way, because it can just help you know.
Don't be afraid.
What to do better.
Don't be afraid to say it either.
Yeah, they need that in order to produce better stuff for you in the future. So.
Yeah.
Any final comments that you feel like, what's the big takeaway from this conversation, you feel like? The things that we did well, you feel like have helped you?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, find out why you want your photos. Are they for a website? Are they for something that maybe you don't need a professional photographer for? Over communicating with your photographer, if you do find one, making sure that you actually look at their photos. You like their style, you like the way their photo looks. That seems common sense, but that's important. You usually get what you pay for in this industry, so it might be worth it to spend the extra money on someone. Another big thing that we didn't talk about is, if you do hire a professional photographer, make sure you ask about the contract details. Do you get rights to your photos? Can you use your photos any way you want? That's a big thing, because sometimes you'll come across a photographer and you might not have as much freedom as you like. So make sure that that's kind of crystal clear in their contract. Yeah, that's important.
I thought of one other thing we didn't bring up, and that was, what do you do with those pictures once you have them in your possession? And it's real tempting to have this catalog somewhere, and you use them once and then you never use them again. And I just I want to encourage you to come up with some sort of a system to organize the pictures. So I would take the ones that I really, really like, because I don't like all of them that come back. There's some that I'm like, I'm probably not, if I only have so much real estate or so much time on social media, I'm not going to use every single shot. There's going to be like 20-30% that I'm actually going to end up using. And I'll download those, and I put them into like a Dropbox file folder, and I'll label those file folders like spinach. I have one for every vegetable. I have one labeled images of the farmer. I have landscape shot. I have different categories. I have one that's like box pictures, just so that when I'm looking for a particular image for a social media post that I just need to whip out real quick to go along. Let's say I'm doing a tomato U-pick, and I'm like, I need a gorgeous picture of tomatoes. I can just go back to that Google Drive, find that perfect tomato picture that Jess took the year before, even if I've used it once before, and post it again. So don't be afraid to repurpose that content or throw it in a blog post as part of, as part of your blog. Put it on Instagram again, because not everybody sees it the first time.
Right.
And if you have things organized and you just start creating this catalog of images, you end up, especially after 2 or 3 sessions with a photographer, you probably don't need to hire another one for a while.
Right.
Unless you have a very specific goal. So that's something that I've learned to do, and it's been a huge help to me, a time saver. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
This was so great. And if you have any questions after this broadcast, post them in the comments, and I will get back to them as soon as I can. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we will catch you next week. I'm going to be taking a vacation week, so I may not show up on Monday or Tuesday, but I will try to show up in some way next week just to say hi and add some value to you. Take care, guys.
Bye.